Really excited to have everybody join us as we're doing a deep dive into this particular space around AI, generative AI, and the application of generative AI and its modern role, if you will, in the space of recruiting, and how that world and that space has really started to emerge. Thank you for joining me today. I am excited to welcome Raj Singh into our discussion, our HR trendsetter focus, and give us the opportunity to learn a little bit about what is going on in the world of recruiting and how we're merging generative AI and even robotics to some extent into this particular area. A little bit of background, Raj and I actually worked together very early on in both of our careers at National Semiconductor. Back in the day, it was the chip industry. And, it was really an interesting environment. Much of the focus was around hardware and then the application of analog and digital applications. Of course, as we're diving into this conversation today, we can see how technology has continued to move forward in such an amazing way and at an accelerated pace. And Raj is one of those individuals that I have a tremendous amount of respect for. He is an innovator. He is one of those folks who is continuing to look for opportunities to move technology forward and to leverage technology in what we want to do. So please join me in welcoming Raj to our conversation today. Today is around that intersection of AI and recruitment, but I think you're going to hear a lot of other amazing nuggets from the mind of an innovator, an entrepreneur, somebody who has had some successful company builds and exits and is thinking about how do we continue to move forward in leveraging technology. So Raj, let me go ahead and I'll turn it over to you and just give us a little bit of your background as well and a little bit of what your philosophy is in this space, and then we'll dive right on in. And is thinking about how do we continue to move forward in leveraging technology. So Raj, let me go ahead and I'll turn it over to you and just give us a little bit of your background as well and a little bit of what your philosophy is in this space, and then we'll dive right on in. And is thinking about how do we continue to move forward in leveraging technology.
That's awesome. Thank you, Diana. And, really, really great to reconnect. I think Diana's being very kind. We started a career off together in the National Semiconductor back in the, I wouldn't say the decade, recent past. It's just fascinating how the technology landscape has evolved. So a little bit about me, my background. I started my career in recruiting, actually, and did all things recruiting, and then moved into human resources, and then moved into software development, and completely different skill set, and started a company in insurtech, and that very well, done it for about 7 years, and we were acquired by a larger organization called Paychex, and I did my tour of duty at Paychex, and then this whole paradigm shift around the AI, introduction of different AI methodologies, technologies, just kind of motivated me to start looking at the HR space again, and I found this huge opportunity in recruiting, and that's how Aglint was born. So super excited to be here, Diana, reconnect with you and talk to you more about what we're doing at Aglint.
Oh, that's great. I'm really excited to learn more and do a deep dive into the space, what you're focused on at Aglint and how you're bringing these aspects together, and in particular, integrating AI into the recruiting processes. Again, back in the day, we would say so much of what we were doing was manual, and it just, a lot of human interaction. And now what we're able to do with leveraging these technologies, I think, is accelerate our ability to quickly identify great candidates, match out to what we're doing from our business strategy standpoint and our workforce planning standpoint. We did talk a little bit about that in our prior session in workforce planning. I think today is one of those areas where we can focus on how do we accelerate that and how do we match that planning need. So let me talk a little bit about some of the challenges that are faced in the talent recruitment space today. And Raj, I'm sure you'll be able to share a little bit more with us as well, as you're living and breathing in this world. I know we have a number of folks that are on the call today that are excited to go deeper here. So certainly, I think it's true that the advancements that we've had in HR technologies, we still face, as recruiters, we still face significant hurdles in being able to attract and retain the right talent. I think that challenge continues to be true. And we're going to look forward to hearing how Aglint is helping to solve in that space as well. One of the major challenges tends to be the alignment of candidate skills with fast evolving job requirements, and especially in tech-driven industries. But I think we see this across most industries as a whole. And I know that we also, at least I hear in talking with my HR colleagues, we see it in both the for-profit and the nonprofit space as well. The fact is that things are moving faster and faster, and the requirements are accelerating that much faster. And then another challenge being around how do we just manage the sheer volume of applicants that come for our various positions and efficiently be able to identify the most suitable candidates. So with these challenges in mind, I'd love to hear from you, Raj, a little bit about how is Aglint working to solve those issues, those challenges that we face in the talent recruitment space today?
Yeah, that's a great question, Diana. So I think specifically from a skill standpoint, right? The typical the way a recruiter looks at skills from a resume, right? So if somebody applies for a job, in the past it's been just one-to-one text search. It's Boolean search. If you do content marketing, you have to write content marketing on that resume. With AI, we have the unique opportunity to apply vector search. So vector search just analyzes billions of data points of semantically similar keywords, right? So for example, in that, what I just mentioned, content marketing. So if somebody's talking about LinkedIn posts, social marketing, writing posts for the blog posts for the website, writing Twitter tweets, right? Things like that, right? Or X tweets, I guess. So things like that, AI can pick up. So it's hugely advantageous for a recruiting department to look at applying a better way of searching that same candidate database. So that's where the vector search kind of comes in, and it's hugely beneficial, and we feel we can uncover better talent utilizing vector search. So that's just one area from a skill standpoint. What I would also advise people to look at is just newer there was this advent of prompt engineering, right? Writing prompts for LLMs, right? So to get the right answers from an LLM, you write the right kind of prompt. Those are very basic things, but what I would really suggest to candidates is just to be abreast of all of these changes and just make sure you write you have the right kind of keywords in your resume so that the job description kind of matches what you're looking for. But again, if a company is utilizing vector search or an AI-enabled search in their candidate database, they should absolutely find all these candidates.
Got it. Okay, great. So I've heard a couple of acronyms and things that may be spinning around for some of our audience. So I heard vector search versus Boolean search. How would you explain it to the layperson? That distinction, vector search versus Boolean search.
Yeah, just on a very just a high level, right? So Boolean search is text-based. It's essentially and or. So how recruiters retrieve data is they would type in that specific keyword, and then that resume would come up. So for example, that example I gave, content marketing, a recruiter has to put content marketing in quotations, and that's how that resume would come up. Okay. Or if they utilize vector search, we're looking at similarities, and that's where the billions of data points come in. So we can break up each. It's my CTO can have a much better answer on this, but technically it's 1,500, approximately about 1,500 variations of that keyword is what we can look at. And then we come up with the right result that matches that job description and that candidate. So that's a huge impact that we just never had the opportunity. Back in, like, at least even 3-4 years ago, when we did searches on resume databases, we could not come up with these unless somebody's very, very good at Boolean search, and they use all the permutations and combinations of content marketing, social marketing, Twitter posts, all of these different things that somebody can write on their resume. That's how they'll find that. It's kind of looking for a needle in a haystack.
Oh, that's amazing. That's really amazing. So this new approach, utilizing vector search, really does allow, from a recruiter standpoint, a company standpoint, allows you to look at a much larger pool of potential candidates, regardless of whether a candidate has placed that very specific keyword on their resume. The vector search allows you to look at the nuances and where there may be some good match.
Exactly. And to take it even a further level, right? So a recruiter typically spends about 6 to 8 seconds looking at a resume. Any application gets about 300 to 400, any job gets about 300 to 400 candidates that apply to it. So it's not possible for a recruiter to look at each and every resume in depth. So what AI does is it can score and rank candidates within seconds. You're utilizing, vector search is one component. Utilizing some of the baseline LLM technologies is another component. And you can just get a quick, fast result of, okay, here's the top 20 matches. And then a recruiter can dive in deeper and look at, okay, out of these 400, here's the 20 that I should look at, and then dive in deeper.
Oh, that's amazing. Wow. I just breathed a sigh of relief as a recruiter looking at the stack of resumes and knowing that the technologies are there now that are really helping me streamline and zero in, focus in on those key ones. Now, also, from I know we talked a little bit about sharing some key secrets, and, and the first secret around this is really, if we put it in the context of adapting to that new job landscape. Right. So from this perspective, the evolving job market really is demanding a reshaping of talent sourcing. I think you've started to touch on that a little bit, and the recruitment criteria are really heavily influenced by the AI technologies now. From that perspective as well, how do you see this shaping and really shifting for the candidate? What are some of the things you would recommend for candidates as well?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think, at least in our research, we feel the candidates are ahead of the curve. They are already utilizing a lot of these AI tools. They're using LLMs to generate their resumes. They're using AI technology to match their resume to the job description. So I think the candidates honestly are there's just so many tools available for candidates, and what we are finding is that over the last year or so, number of resumes that talent acquisition or recruiting departments get is significantly higher than what they've gotten in the past. And that is because of candidates customizing their resumes to the job description and then applying to these job descriptions. And there are tools available. And my recommendation to candidates would be to continue to do that, because that increases your chances of getting a call back. Once you get the call back, that's when you can showcase your abilities and skills. And typically it's just getting that call back is the number one challenge.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's really great. So first secret is that absolutely the job landscape is shifting. I think that everybody here on the call is starting to hear a bit more now about how those shifts that are taking place with the technology, how it is helping organizations to be able to source candidates more effectively now, using vector search versus Boolean search and the nuances, being able to pick up those nuances, but then also what's happening with the candidates. And just such a great nugget, Raj, that you just shared, that in your research, you're seeing that candidates are already using these tools. They're already leveraging the technologies that are out there. And so now we're hearing the recruitment platforms are catching up, like tools like Aglint are catching up and are being able to really help companies and help our HR teams be able to match and pull information even more effectively. So let's go on to the second secret. So the second secret in this space is around being able to identify emerging careers. And I think this is one of those, as HR trendsetters on this session, a lot of us think about, how do we anticipate what types of careers are starting to emerge that our businesses are going to be needing? And I would imagine that for what you're doing at Aglint, this is one of those things that you're continually thinking about, as well as what's coming next. And so I'd love to hear from your perspective, what kinds of things would you recommend from a proactive talent planning perspective, forecasting and preparing for those emerging careers?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, Diana, and we were talking about this a little bit in the green room, right? So
Yeah.
So with any new technology, there's new skill sets that come in, right? So for AI, there's skill sets around LLMs, there's skill sets around vector search, there's skill sets around RAG techniques and retrieval augmented generation techniques, and so those are kind of the skill sets that organizations will have to keep in mind, as specifically if they look for technical talent, right? From hardware, really hardware is deja vu for us, because we both started our career at National Semiconductor, and what's old is new again, because we were at the forefront of the chip industry, and National had some really good technologies that were kind of considered, okay, it's all digitization, etc., but it's all coming back. The chips are very hot again. So those are the skill sets. I think what I would recommend to organizations is look at your construct of your business, and look at if it's a hardware business, if it's a software business, if it's a email marketing business. These technologies can be applied horizontally across a lot of different verticals, whether it's email marketing, whether it's sales software, whether it's payroll software. All of this can be applied, and so the skill sets that would change are people that know how to work with these kind of systems, right? So LLMs are the really the baseline systems, but then within LLMs, there's, we talked about vector, we talked about RAG. There's other technologies that I would highly suggest people to be very aware of, and really not be scared of AI around. There's a lot of talk about bias and lots of talk about, and yes, definitely watch all those things, but not be super afraid of the technology as opposed to, really embrace it.
Yeah, that's really such an important message, to truly embrace the technology. And again, I heard this quote just a few days ago. In fact, it's not that the technology is going to take over your role or your job. It's people who know how to use the technology. And so I think that message of continuing to merge and embrace the technology and recognize that the technology, in partnership with your experience as an HR trendsetter, as an HR leader, as an entrepreneur, that really is where the power is. The superpower is in that combination. And so, from that perspective as well. Now, I want to do a quick acronym check. And Raj, you mentioned LLMs. So LLM, share with us and our audience here, what is an LLM, and what just the basics of that.
Yeah, so an LLM is a large language model, and just on a very kind of surface level, it's essentially any type of data that is entered into this large language model can be retrieved with different techniques. So one technique is RAG, retrieval augmented generation. There's other techniques to get this data out. the large LLMs are the ones that are provided by OpenAI, Anthropic, and these other Google Bard utilizes Google's LLM, Gemini. And so those are the large LLMs. What some organizations are doing is they have a wealth of data. So they're creating these kind of specific domain level LLMs. And so they can be queried and they can be talked to, and then you can get information and really answers to questions very fast. And so we feel like that's like the cusp of the AI revolution, because it's going to just get more and more exciting from here. I think this is just the baseline.
Yeah, yeah, and thank you for opening up that that perspective as well. That we have some organizations that are moving into a more precise environment where that data set, if you will, is unique to that company, and the content is contained within that company, and the source of the source data is unique to that company, and then we get into those broader applications that many of us are becoming familiar with around Bard and Cloud AI and ChatGTP, that are those open AI environments. And most of that information, I believe, sourced from the internet. It's the information that's readily available in the public domain. And then as we all know, that even that data has a limit to it. And so continuing to expand the information that's available with those large LLMs to be able to record sessions. I mean, even like, our session here being out and available through YouTube ultimately, and LinkedIn ultimately becomes a source for those open AI environments, which I just think is incredibly exciting. Seeing all of this really blossom and the knowledge, having that knowledge at our fingertips as well. I was speaking with a friend yesterday evening, and he was talking about actually utilizing ChatGTP as a platform to write a book, and actually using it to do his outline and build and do a deep dive around each one of the chapters. So it's the platform is there for the creativity, and I think that's one of the wonderful things that we bring here as well. So we've talked a little bit about those emerging careers and being able to leverage and have the skills to utilize these various tools and methodologies. And I think that it's also fair to say, and I'd love to hear your elaboration on this as well, Raj, that many of the traditional roles, whether it's human resources or marketing or finance, many of those roles are now heavily influenced by our ability to utilize these tools to enhance the work that we're doing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And one of the things we were talking about, Diana, was workforce efficiency. And that's exactly how we think about it at Aglint, because again, there's a lot of talk about AI replacing jobs and taking away jobs. And we actually have the opposite belief, because we feel that AI can make jobs more efficient. And just to give you an example, in the recruiting domain, there's a job, most companies have an interview coordinator. And this person's job is solely to set up interviews. And they send these Calendly links or these, one-liner links to candidates, and then they figure out a schedule, and then people cancel. And it's just a very inefficient way of scheduling time between one person and 5 people, or 5 or 4, or how many ever. That we feel can be automated utilizing AI. You should be able to talk to an interview coordinator assistant, an AI assistant, and just say, hey, Mr. Assistant or Miss Assistant, here's 4 people, schedule this person with these 4 people. And then this assistant should be able to go out to that person, get the schedule, look at the calendar, and create a schedule, and come back to me as the coordinator and say, hey, Raj, here's the schedule. Here's, are we good to confirm it? And I say, confirm. And it fires off all these emails. So me now as the coordinator, I can work on other things. I can work on better interview training. I can make sure I train the folks that are interviewing on asking the right questions. I can do other things, as opposed to this kind of mundane scheduling process. So those are the things that we're excited about, and that we're trying to solve is how can we make individuals more efficient, right? Workforce efficiency is really key, because it's not about replacing jobs, it's about enhancing jobs, and that's where we believe that AI can make the biggest impact.
That's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And I do agree with you that the efficiency opportunities are there, and also the ability to take what can be very complex exercises and coordinating schedules. It's a great example. It seems so simple on the surface, but we do know that that often takes quite a bit of time, and it takes time away from the real heart of the work, which is finding the best match candidates for our roles and being able to fulfill in on that workforce plan.
Exactly.
Yep. Most definitely. So I would summarize by saying, first off, thank you, Raj. I think there are 3 secrets that we've taken away from this. The first secret is really around how to adapt to the new job landscape. And in that adaptation, leveraging the tools and the technology to adapt, both from a candidate perspective, leveraging these tools, as well as from the company perspective, and utilizing things like vector searches, for example, to be able to even more effectively identify the candidates that could match our particular role. And I am excited about what you're doing over at Aglint and bringing that into the market. The second is being able to identify what are those emerging careers, because we can start to see now how these technologies are shaping not only existing careers, existing roles and professions, but also how these technologies are actually creating new roles in and of themselves. And I think that's another really exciting piece. And then the third secret is around efficiency and being able to use the tools to capitalize on creating efficiency. And it sounds like that's really a powerful underpinning of the mission that you're working on over at Aglint as well. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, that's an excellent summary, Diana. Thank you for summarizing it so eloquently, because that is exactly, it's more about efficiency. It's more about utilizing the tools available and doing a better job to elevating, the companies that adopt AI, that adopt these technologies can really differentiate themselves. And at the end of the day, it's all about talent. That is how business succeeds. It's the people we have. So again, you've been in the business for a long time and continue to be in the business, so you know this way better than I do. So yeah, thank you for summarizing so eloquently.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And so, any closing remarks that you would have? And I do have one more question for you, and that is, what energizes you as an entrepreneur, as an innovator? What gets you excited? What is that big question that you use to energize yourself?
Yeah, no, thank you. I think for me, I think it's more personal. I think I'm always looking to do things better, faster, more efficiently, and that's what charges me, and really trying to make a difference. That's what we did at my previous startup. That's what we're doing at Aglint. And how can we do a better job faster, more efficiently, and really leverage all the tools available? These tools will evolve. AI will get better. There'll be better tools. And I think being at the forefront is really important, because otherwise you just get left behind. So that's what charges me.
That is really great. Raj, thank you again for joining me. It has been an absolute pleasure being able to spend this time together and hearing your insights, what you're up to with your next venture here at Aglint. And as always, you know that I absolutely love our work together. I look forward to continuing, and I know that we will be back together again. I will definitely have you back on our show to talk a little bit more as things continue to evolve. So thank you, Raj, for joining me. Thank you, everybody else, for joining me as well and joining Raj. Thank you. You can check out Raj Singh. He's on LinkedIn. Just go ahead and check him out. See what he's up to, see what he's been up to, some of the amazing products and projects that he's worked on over the course of his career as well. And feel free to connect up with him to learn a little bit more about what they're doing at Aglint. Raj, thank you. A pleasure seeing you. All right. And I look forward to connecting again very, very soon.
Likewise. Thank you, everybody. Thanks,
you.
Diana. Bye-bye. Talk to you
Bye-bye
soon.
now.